Yo, dude, me and Isaac in the back of the fucking fog.
Well, let's grab ourselves a little refreshment. I saw you got a little water. Let's
We're live. I have
welcome
my
to
Yeti.
episode. Yeah. Oh, Yeti.
Let's go.
Welcome to
I
episode
see-
34. What's up?
I was gonna say I see Hayden's got some lightsabers behind him, so we are set to go, baby. Let's do this.
No. There we go. All right. So, first thing, I know we were talking a little bit off air. First off, Robert Whittaker completely KOs that dude. Did you see the highlight or anything?
Well, real quick, I haven't been introed, dude. You
Oh
gotta
yeah,
give me an
shit,
intro,
my
dog.
bad.
Give me
My
some
bad.
crazy, like I was waiting for you to call me like God King or something crazy, but
All right. For anybody who doesn't know, and most people don't, this is Michael Patton, my brother. We technically my brother. He's my stepbrother, but
no, we're just brothers.
all the same. Yeah, exactly. But this dude's pretty much a genius. Probably the
No.
smartest person I know. Yeah, you are. By far, probably the smartest person I know. Super wisdom, if that made any sense. Super wisdom.
Yeah, super
But
wisdoms.
su-
My wisdoms is super highs. Yeah.
Yep.
Just an
But no,
average
yeah.
guy. But
No, not really. Being a little too humble right now. You can.
No, honestly
you
though,
can
yeah,
go off.
humbled, honored to be on your show. So I appreciate you taking the, letting me come on, take the time for you. So
Well,
appreciate
thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time to come on.
Absolutely.
But all right, let's get into a little bit of UFC stuff, and then we'll get to the meat and potatoes. But Robert Whittaker was supposed to fight Khamzat, and I mean, the dude has like the immune system of a 6-year-old because this is like the 5th time he's pulled out of a fight due to a sickness.
Yeah, and I saw a photo. I think he was like legit in the hospital. So whatever happened, I didn't
Really?
follow up with it too much, but yeah, that's what they put out. I don't know if, you never know what's real and what's not, but
Yeah, that's fair.
that dude, like, think about how much that dude's star has just like crashed.
Yeah.
Like it's like a case
Yeah.
study of how not to
Yeah.
become a star. He had all the hype up front. Like what he does inside of the octagon is unparalleled. I mean, it's super entertaining. He has everything
Mhm.
going for him. The problems are he can't fight in the US. And then every time he can fight, every however many fight cards they finally have one that's over there, he gets sick or something. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. But yeah, it's
I mean, it's pretty sad because, I mean, he was literally, like you said, I mean, he was on pace to being like literally the biggest star in the UFC. Literally.
for sure.
And then now everybody's like, dude, screw this guy. I mean, because it's always 2 weeks before a fight too.
Yeah, he never fights. I mean, the dude never fights. I remember watching his fight against Burns and thinking like, this is one of the best fights I've ever seen. It was so entertaining. I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time. And honestly, I had been and I still am a casual for sure. But I was even more of a casual. I watched that fight and I'm like, bro, I'm watching every Khamzat fight I'm watching. And then it was like, there was one more. He effed up the weigh-in too. We have to remember that. That was huge.
He was supposed to fight Nate Diaz.
Yeah,
he weighed over like 5 pounds or something.
Yeah, and so Dana White's a good businessman, so it doesn't matter who you are. If you're the amount of effort that goes into putting up a good pay-per-view, and then you have your main guy F it up, like there's no forgiveness for that. Not by 5 pounds. If it's like a quarter pound,
Yeah.
it's still unforgivable. But it's like,
Yeah. I mean, you're a professional and you're at the top of the top, so
yeah. Well,
like
then it's
you
like,
should.
I don't want to build a fight card around you now because I don't know if you're gonna. I
Yeah.
don't know if you're a responsible enough human being to
I
actually
mean,
do that. I can't put that many chips on you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. This dude's just throwing money away. Because I mean, he could have been having pay-per-view point. Like, dude, he could be a massive star. He's just an idiot. But whoever that dude is that stepped in for him, Ikram Aliskerov, that dude
I didn't see
has
the fight. So what happened?
well, that guy has a nutsack on him because if you step in short notice against Robert Whittaker, I mean that dude's a savage. Like Robert Whittaker is literally like what his name is literally the Reaper. Like the
Right,
dude's a
right.
savage. And I mean he hit him with a like flurry little combo and then he landed. He was hurt. The dude was like wobbling. He got him up against the fence and threw a nasty left uppercut, I think, and just out cold. So
So he knocked Robert Whittaker out.
no, Robert Whittaker
Oh, okay.
pieced
I was
him
gonna
up.
say, wow.
Pieced him up. But still, I
Yeah,
mean, that dude
those
stepping
are
in 2 weeks against Robert Whittaker is
yeah.
that dude's
Well,
just,
it
that dude's
doesn't.
got
I
some
mean, if you're stepping in 2 weeks' notice against anyone, it's like
special, yeah,
you.
especially
Well,
at that
you
level.
know this. I mean, like a fight, like you're just your average week of training is not
Isn't
like the
no,
cardio and the effort and the mental exercise
yep,
you do getting ready.
yeah,
Robert's ready.
yeah,
He's ready. And it's just like, oh, it's a different guy. Honestly, probably an easier guy than Hamza is probably, you know what I
yeah,
mean? So he's like, all right,
yeah,
cool. I
yeah.
just think of that with Volk. Like, why, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that was a huge mistake on his part, was taking that fight short notice with Islam. And I
Well,
really think
especially taking it with
he
Islam.
could have beat Islam. I really do. But not on short
Mm-hmm.
notice. What are you doing?
12
Like,
days. Yeah,
yeah,
that
you
I
know,
mean that was just dumb. I don't know, like if he. I think I was watching Tim Welch's podcast and he was saying something similar. Like, I don't know if he has anybody around him saying like, buddy, that's not a good idea. Like,
we had too many
I
yes men,
mean,
you mean?
yeah, like, bro, you're about to step in there with the baddest man on the planet right now. Like, he's literally the best in the world across all of the divisions, and you're
Right.
stepping in there on 12 days notice. But I mean, imagine he goes in there and puts him to sleep. Like,
Well, exactly. And
then
I think, he's gotten a lot of praise for being the guy that just he's
yeah,
a great business partner for Dana,
hmm
right? Like the dude just took fight after fight after fight, short notice, whoever, he doesn't care. So like that's great. You get cred for that. But yeah, I mean, let
yeah,
that be a warning to anyone. Whenever, when you're someone like that, it's good to have people in your corner that encourage you and, kind of give you that feeling like you are invincible and you can conquer the world. But
hmm
you also need someone that can go like, hey, man, yeah, you can kick this guy's butt, but no, we're not going to do 12 days. Like they can find someone else,
yeah.
He
But
didn't
the other
have that.
thing is,
Everyone's trying to, you want to hype the guy up, but
well, here's the thing: is like those guys at that level, especially Volk, they're straight savages. Like they're like Max Holloway made a great point. Like we're literally modern day gladiators. So I
oh yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
it's not like we're not logical people, especially
No,
at that
no.
level. They're not
Yeah,
logical. It's
they're not.
like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go set the world on fire. Basically, is what's going through his mind. It's not like a logical thing. Like, yeah, fuck, I could beat his ass, but I'm gonna do it. 12 days is too. Like, they're not thinking like that. It's like, yeah,
Right.
fuck it, 12 days notice. Let's go beat his ass. Like that's. So I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I kind of see both sides of it for sure.
Oh, for
But
sure.
but to get to that level, you almost have to be like that. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
something in your brain has to be kind of broken, to be
Yeah.
honest,
Well, that's
for
what
you to.
Alex Hermazi, I believe, is the one that said that. Like everyone thinks, you know, the greatest of the greats are, have something that other people have, and it's like that's not the case. It's the opposite. They lack something that everybody has, and it's an off button. It's always like go, 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 go,
Right.
go. Like we're gonna get this done. But I
Mhm.
mean, So I really like. I used to not really like Volk because obviously I was a Conor fan, and he was creeping on that best featherweight of all time type shit, and I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know. So, but after watching him for the past like year and a half, I'm like, he's easily one of
oh,
my favorite fighters to watch.
yeah, yeah. I
But
agree. I think. I mean, I think Connor is greatest impact on UFC of all time. But I don't
well, the
think he's
sport
the
in
greatest.
general,
I
I
don't think he's
think.
the greatest lightweight of all time. I think he
Well,
has
he
the
could have
greatest
been.
impact for the sport. It's not even close. It's not
Yeah,
close.
no,
I
no.
mean, I have
I mean, the
people
dude
that
hasn't fought.
yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
people are still thinking about him. He hasn't fought in how
Yeah.
many years? I mean, 3, 2,
His last fight, I think it's 3. I think he hasn't fought in 3 years.
and
He
I
hasn't
mean the
fought in
dude's
3
fought what?
years.
He's fought. Well, that's he fought Dustin a few times. He fought Cowboy. So that's the 3 fights he's had, I guess, since he lost to Habib, right, 2018. So he's only fought 3 times
Yeah.
since 2018,
Yeah.
and that's 6 years.
And
I
he's
don't.
still the biggest. Like in any time his name is in the conversation, he is the conversation. It's
Well,
nobody
for
else. It's
sure.
Connor, 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 Connor. Which
Right, right.
I mean, well, you got to think like every, and that's why I hate that. Oh, you're trying to be like Connor. Yeah, I am trying to be like Connor. The fuck you mean, dude? The
Yeah,
dude's almost a
everyone's trying to be like
billionaire.
Connor. Everyone's trying to be
Yeah,
like Connor.
literally.
Exactly.
It's like, is that supposed to be a dig? Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah,
But
the thing with Connor though. Sorry if I got my
no,
email
you're good.
notification thing's super annoying, but the thing with Connor is he is actually charismatic.
Yeah.
Actually charismatic. He's not faking it, you know. So he can play an act, and that's fine. But he's actually charismatic. So when he talks,
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, oh, like you're just, you're locked in because
Yep.
he's got Riz, as the kids say these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's an attractive dude. He dresses to the nines.
Mm-hmm.
He's really quick witted. He can, the disses and stuff that he was saying to Jose Aldo and some of those other people are,
Second to none. Yeah. Like
yeah,
no
next
one.
next level. Everyone tries to do that, and some people are better than others. But I mean, the guy's
Yeah.
he had everything. He had charisma. He's attractive. He knows how to brand himself. He works extremely hard. He's extremely
Mm-hmm.
talented. He never passed up on opportunities. And when he did get the opportunities, he fully delivered. He would knock
Yeah.
people out
Yeah.
in spectacular fashion. So when you have all of those things go for you, I know people that honestly have never watched UFC except for a few Connor fights. That's all they've ever watched. Seriously,
Yeah.
like they
I mean,
paid for the pay-per-view and they sat, and they don't even know what
watch.
jujitsu is. They've never heard it. They don't
Yeah.
even like what's jujitsu and what's, Muay Thai. They don't even know what
Yeah.
any of this stuff is.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
let's
for sure.
transition here a little bit. I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
talk about that Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker got KO'd flat.
Was he dancing before he got KO'd? That guy's just always
No,
like,
but I mean, I think it's time for him to retire. I mean, that's like 3 bad knockouts in the last like 4 or 5 fights. Like bad knockouts, like out
yeah,
cold. I don't mean
yeah,
like a TKO where he's still covering up. It's like this
yeah,
dude's
yeah.
out like
Right,
flatline.
right. Yeah, I
So I
saw the
mean,
last one on replay. The last one, I think he got knocked out, right? And then the fight before that for him, it was like a DQ or something like that. Wasn't that like
I don't
someone
quite
got their
remember.
eye poked or something stupid like that?
Yes, 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 yes. Yep,
Yeah,
that
that
was
that
pretty
like
bad.
ruined. That whole fight card had
Yeah,
so much promise too, and it ended up being so lame. I can't remember which one that
I
was. I
don't.
think Hamzat was on
Me
that one
either.
too, right?
He might have been. I don't
Yeah.
remember, to be honest. But yeah, that's unfortunate. But Bo Nickel called. Do you know who the Bullet is? That Magomedov guy.
Yeah, I've heard of. Is that
That
the guy
dude's
with the?
scary.
Is he the guy
One
with the messed
eye.
up eye?
He's
Yeah,
got one eye. He's legally allowed to fight with one eye, which is
yeah.
scary because
He looks like he looks like a super villain in a James Bond movie.
yeah, Bo
Yeah.
Nickel called him out. So that'll be a good test for Bo Nickel. That'll be a good ass fight, to be
Because
honest.
that guy's really good at wrestling. Not Bo. I'm talking about the other guy. He's good at wrestling too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And he's got
Well, all
is
those
he
guys are.
Dagestani?
I believe so.
I'll be rooting
He's
for
like a
Bo.
savage. Like, yeah, me
I'll be
too.
rooting for Bo. I'm all USA on that one. So
Yeah, but all right, let's get into actually some of the shit that I wanted to talk about.
yeah, absolutely.
15 minutes in. All right, I'm gonna read you some. You know who Naval is?
I have no idea, but read them to me and let's
right.
dissect this.
So I'm going to try to. I think it's the Almanac of Naval. Write it down. Almanac of Naval. It's a book. He's very intelligent. You probably already know most of the stuff that he talks about, but that's a good book to read.
Almanac of Naval, huh? Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know if he read it. I think it's like a culmination of the tweets that he writes, and people like put it into a book.
So this guy's alive today. He's a contemporary of ours.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but yeah. Talking
means
low to him. All right. First one. Negotiations are won by whoever cares less. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I mean not always, but I think the point of that is that if you care less, quote unquote, maybe you have a lot more leverage. You have less to lose, so you're able to operate in the negotiation from a place of power. And if you do that, usually, usually you do win. But a great negotiation is such that the side that loses has a chance to save face, and so that both sides feel like they won. You just hopefully get a little bit more for your side than what the other side got. What do you think about it?
I mean, you're the one that's more well versed in that area. But
well, you negotiate all the time. I mean, you negotiate all the time. When you talk with Kayla, when you talk with, that's all negotiating. You know.
I think I would agree, because it's always like, I feel like in most situations, whoever cares less usually wins, because if you have so much riding on something, there's so much tension and anxiety for you to get what you think you need that
you get desperate.
Yeah. And then when you get desperate, people know that. People can sense that.
And
it's
then
like, this dude's yeah.
Exactly. That's right. That is true. Like, let's say I'm trying to sell my house and not really in a rush, and someone really, well, let's flip it. Let's say I really need to get out of my house and there's a buyer that's just like, yeah, who cares? They're going to win for sure, because I'm going to cut the price down and just like, I got to get out of here. So yeah, it's a good point. Naval, he's 1-0 right now, we'll say.
You're always busy wanting something except whatever's in front of you. I think I'd agree with that. I think the human mind is usually meant to always chase things. Obviously, we've evolved from the wastelands of trying to chase our food. So
yeah,
I think it's kind of just hardwired.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, I think with all these, there's like some truth to it. I don't think there's like, they're not like universally true, but what I think of that with that is, that is true. I feel like people, you kind of have a goal, and once you achieve it, you're automatically thinking about all the ththings that you don't have, or you haven't achieved. Like, I look now, and I remember back years ago talking with Caitlin, and that's my wife, and hey, when we have a house someday, and our kids sleeping in the other room, and we're sitting out in the hot tub, and blah blah blah, like, we'll know we've made it. And it's just like, that's like everyday life now. And so now that's not, we've made it. Now it's like, we want this now. And so but yeah, there's a quote that I really enjoy, which is comparison is the death of joy, which I think is pretty true. I think it's really important to be simultaneously content with your life and also strive for more. Strive for more out of yourself, be a better in general, in business, all of that, but also to be content. I think that's pretty important. But
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think that really just comes down to being present and not worrying about past or future. They say that, worrying about the past causes depression and worrying about the future causes anxiety. So, I mean, just being able to stay in the moment. I've
Yeah,
really tried to learn that over the course of the last year and a half. It's really hard to do. People think it's
it
easy.
is.
It's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's
But
not.
all right,
That's
next
true.
one. Earn with your mind, not with your time. I mean,
Say it
I think a
again.
lot of people earn with your mind, not your time. I think a
Okay.
lot of people think, and that's the whole, death trap of college, which I, quickly learned, is that college is quite literally the worst investment you could ever possibly make. Because investments are, I mean, you would know better than me, but investments are supposed to be made so that you can make money and not do anything for it.
Yeah,
With
I would
college, you're
say.
literally paying to then work with your time to make money.
Yeah, well, it depends on the person. Again, I hate to be that guy always
True.
too. That's just like it always depends because it's like okay,
Well, I
great.
mean, but it's
But
true.
no, it really does though because there's different reasons. Like, um, you
I'm
just
just
I
saying,
think
purely based on earning money, not I mean, yeah, if someone their life calling is supposed to be a nurse, obviously yes, then going to college is required, right?
right.
But in terms of
Well,
just wanting to make money,
well, what I'm
you
saying
know,
is like in general, when it comes to college, I think the right way to think of it is definitely as an investment. So you should have an exit strategy before you go into it with how outrageously expensive it is, and it is
yeah,
outrageously expensive.
it
Um,
is.
so there's different reasons to get into different things. Like let's say if you're going into Yale law, or Harvard Law School, let's say. Um, yeah, the education's a little better, but that's really not why you're going. You're going because of the network of people that are there. It's the highest of the high elite people. You're going to have all kind of connections, and at the end of the day, your network equals your net worth. So
Mhm.
that's why you do that, and it's worth the investment, even if it's $250,000 or however much it is. I'm just pulled that number out of nowhere, but um,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah. But I agree. I think not everybody can. There's a a bell curve for intelligence and ambition and everything else. But yeah,
Mhm.
ideally, sure, if you can use your brain to earn money, that's better than toiling every day in the sun.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But not
Yeah.
everybody has that luxury. So
All right, next one is if the work doesn't require creativity, delegate it, automate it, or leave it.
yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think some work, like let's say, you can't delegate everything. Like what is this person? I guess this quote is from a leader. Sure, as a leader, I guess you would delegate that. But what if you're not a leader? What if you're just an average guy? Does that mean you're bad now? I
Well, I
should
think
delegate
a
that
lot
to my
of
fellow worker. It's like no, I think there's a lot of dignity and honor in doing hard work with your hands. We need
mhm.
people like that until humanoid robots replace them, probably, which I guess would go back to your quote here, unfortunately. But I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of purpose in that. You feel good after you cut wood for your wood stove or mow your lawn or spread mulch or
Mhm.
things like that, right? So
I
I
think
think there
it's
is
yeah.
good in that as well.
Yeah.
What are your
I
thoughts?
think
Sorry, I
it's I
cut you
think
off a few times.
no, you're good. I think it's regarding more toward because you have to think, right? He's talking from a position of power, I guess you could say. Like you
Hmm.
said, a leadership position. And most people who are looking at this advice isn't someone who is, not necessarily looking to become a leader, if that makes sense. So
Right.
as a leader, I would agree with that. Yeah, if I'm sitting here on my computer, writing up documents for 10 hours or 2 hours or whatever, yeah, that's a waste of time. So, and it's not anything creative. I'm not using my brain or expanding my brain to work on creative work. It's like, it's almost, it needs done,
Yeah.
but it's not something that I can do or something
Well,
that I
that's
should be
true.
doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From that perspective. But I see what
Yeah.
you're saying. Like,
No, but that makes sense. You would try to automate some of those things. And at the end of the day,
yeah,
you want to delegate things as a leader to save your time because your time's quote unquote more valuable. But you also want to build your reports up so that they could replace you at some point and you could be moving
yeah,
up as well. So you got to think of it from both angles. But yeah,
yeah.
it's an interesting quote for sure.
All right. The next one this is the last one. People who live far below their means enjoy a freedom that people busy upgrading their lifestyles can't fathom.
Yeah, that goes right back to being content. Like for instance, I'll be, just transparent. Like I've wanted a Tesla Model 3 Performance or Tesla Model 3 I've wanted a Tesla Model 3 for a long time, multiple years. And now the Tesla Model 3 Performance came out and I'm like, whoa, I really want that. I'm not going to get it for a while. I have a Toyota Corolla 2015 that's fully paid off.
Dude, you've had that for a minute.
Yeah, I've had that for 9 years.
Yeah, you've had that for a minute.
I'm gonna keep driving it and saving my money and I would rather that than have the awesome car and be super stoked about it, but now be like tight. And it's like,
Right. Yeah.
if something comes up, then we're in a hard spot. Like, no, I want to be, you have to think of all those kind of things, especially when you're a father,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But let's transition a little bit from that. You were a DECA
We went
president.
from UFC to philosophy, so I'm
I know, right?
I'm along for the ride. I don't know where we're going, but
I like this. All right. So you were a DECA president in high school. Most people don't know what DECA is, I'd assume. So could you give a little background on DECA? Just a minute.
Yeah, it's I think it's the largest business organization for high school nationally. I think when I was in it, there was like, man, I'd hate to hit the wrong number. I think there was a couple 100,000 members throughout the U.S., but in Ohio, I think somewhere in the ballpark of 10 to 20,000 people probably. But yeah, so what it is really just to help kids learn about business and sales, business development, marketing. So you might do a project on like a marketing ad campaign, and then you would work on that with someone, and then you'd go to a competition and present that to a panel of judges, and then they would judge your work based on your peers, and then you'd be awarded whatever rank. And there's like districts, regionals, like states, depending on the state structure. I think ours were just districts, states, and then
Nationals. Yeah.
Yeah. So my position, I was the public relations rep in junior year. And then senior year, I was the VP of leadership development. So yeah, it was cool. It was a cool experience.
So do you I would assume that, you would think that that's an important aspect of growing your ability in terms of like negotiating, talking to people, etc.
Yeah, I would say the impact was, I don't know that it was like super, super profound, to be honest with you. I think really what it taught, I think my life in general has taught me that networking is really important, but not just networking with people in like a fake way. People are smart. They could see right through that. I think you have to really care about people. You have to have a love for human beings, and you'll get a lot further in life because other human beings will love you back and they'll want to help you out too, So I think if you approach things that way, the pitching and the sales side of things is mostly relationship driven. And if it's not, and you're cold selling to someone, then the reality is you just need to know you need to be good at what you do, and you need to know your product better than anyone, and you need to be filling an actual need for someone.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
interested to be sold on something that I have no use for. I don't care if you're the best salesperson in the world. If I don't have a house
Right.
and you're trying to sell me a new driveway, why would I care? I don't care. I'm not going
Yeah.
to buy it. I'm going to have a house, right? So you have to
Right.
understand that, especially when you're selling to big companies. But yeah.
Yeah. So what officially do you do in terms of your work?
I like how you said officially, there's a secret agent side to this too. Like if I told you, I would have to kill you, so I can't say that part of it. But the other part is I just I'm in IT recruiting and sales. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the sales side. What that really means is that I'm just working with the client to find pain points. So let me just zoom out, I guess, because it seems confusing. And it's not. There's big companies. They need to hire IT professionals. IT professionals are in high demand, and what they do is very niche. So the HR departments at these big companies typically have a hard time recruiting these people. So
Yeah.
they will leverage a company like us that understands the tech, that has relationships and networks with these people already. And so we can fill the roles for a fee. So they'll pay extra just to fill it because they know they're going to get a return on their investment anyway. Like tech does generate usually a decent amount of money depending on the company. So that's what we do. I deal with the client side. So I'm actually getting the roles, and then my
Yeah.
recruiters are filling the roles with people, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. That would be pretty interesting. That'd be tough to do though, because don't you have to let's say there's a job opening in Pittsburgh. And you're calling people from fucking Texas and shit, trying to get them to move, right?
Yeah, that can happen. I think after COVID, a lot of roles did go remote, especially at tech
Uh-huh.
roles, because
That would
I'm
be
a
easier
developer.
then,
I don't
yeah.
really why do I need to see you on site? I could just develop from, my
My
basement or
house.
wherever. It doesn't
Right.
matter.
That's fair.
But there are some roles, yeah, for sure. Because, especially if you're dealing with a systems role or something like that, where I need to have my hands on the network or, on the server room or whatever, there's physical things. Yeah, you need to
Yeah.
be there on site. Also, some company cultures, I agree with more, to be honest with you, is they've shot for more of a hybrid environment where it's like, hey, come on site 2 days a week. The other 3 days you could be remote, but we just want to have that little bit of face-to-face time, because it just builds rapport with the team. So with those,
Right.
yeah,
That's
sometimes
fair.
you got to find people in local markets that are really small, and sometimes you got to get people to relocate. So there's a lot of selling involved with that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting role. I love it. I think it would bore people to tears probably to hear about it too much, but I think it's really fun. So because I get
Yeah.
to talk
That's
to
fair.
people, and yeah, it's great.
So, in your opinion, what is the best investment that you've ever made? It could be, anything that yielded the most amount of money, or it could be one that, you fucked up or screwed up and gave you the best opportunity to grow, whatever.
Yeah. Um, I think, to be honest with you, I'm pretty much. I'll answer your question, but I'm going to give a roundabout answer too. So
Okay.
I'm pretty much in AI and
Yeah.
cryptocurrency. And I think those are
Mhm.
the two big opportunities of our lifetime.
Yeah.
And I want to be ahead of those. So, what's my favorite investment? I think is probably Bitcoin. And I would
Yeah.
put as much money as I possibly can into that, even now at highs. Not investment advice, of course, but me,
Yep. No
I
investment advice here.
no investment advice for sure. Just what I've done. But my best performing investment probably Nvidia. Um,
Okay.
when I got that, I think it was sub $200 or something. and I think it rose up to like $1,300 or something. And then, huh?
I was gonna say you'll have to fucking explain some of this stuff to me like off camera because I don't know a whole lot about investment or any of that. Especially like when it comes to cryptocurrency, I have very small knowledge in terms of like what a blockchain is, what it does, how it
most
works.
people do, and I think it's a shame because here's the need for crypto is high because no matter what country you live in, our currency is being debased and it's losing value over time, and that's just a mechanism of how the market works. You know, the markets, to them, the market's actually healthy if there's like a 3 or 4%, you know, inflation, because we have a lot of debt too. So when you inflate, it makes the debt worth less. So you actually owe less money. So it's good. It also shows like GDP and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's over my head as well. But the need for Bitcoin is the greatest for your generation, for my generation. When, you know, you get out of high school in 2024, you know, with the prospect of basically, I'm going to go to college, you know, be 200 grand in debt to make $90,000 or whatever. And then, you know, I'm going to try to pay that off and somehow save up for a house that costs $500,000 and is as small as the house I grew up in that was $150,000 when I was a kid. Okay, good luck. Right. So this is why Bitcoin is needed. And I do encourage anyone that watches this video for sure to, you know, take some time to learn about Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is, it can be a blessing to a lot of people. What it is basically perfect money. There's a limited amount. There's only ever going to be 21 million minted. So it's finite. It's actually deflationary because people lose Bitcoin over time. It can be lost if you send it to the wrong address, etc. It's just gone forever. So you definitely have to know what you're doing. But every time that happens, that makes my Bitcoin worth more because you just lost some, and there's only ever going to be 21 million, right? So yeah, it's a perfect form of money. It really helps people that are in, like, we can complain here in the United States, but we actually have one of the strongest, if not the strongest currency in the world. And even our currency, look how bad it's doing. You know, if you live in Argentina, some of these other countries, you're dealing with inflation where if I have $100 in the bank, at the end of the year, it's worth $8, you know, of buying power. It's still $100.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
so at
but
that
worth,
point,
right.
what's your incentive? What's your incentive to save? What's your incentive to build for the future? So if you were smart in Argentina or wherever, you would put your money in US dollars, right? At least it would hold some value. If you were really smart, you just put it in Bitcoin. Bitcoin has grown at least 50% against the dollar every year since it was founded. It's been the best performing asset every year since it's been founded, except for 3 or 4 years. And it was founded in 2009 or 8. So I think it's definitely worth looking into for people. The way I think of it is like this. I have energy through life. I expend my energy to make money, to create wealth for my family. And I want to put that energy, I want to contain that energy in something that's going to be able to hold that over generations and not bleed, right? So if I put that in US dollars, all my energy, and let's say I accumulate $1 million of energy, and after 100 years, that $1 million is now worth 50K. That was really dumb, right? What if I could have put that million there, and then in 100 years, it's worth 20 million? That's a little smarter to me. So look at what rich people do. They put their money into scarce assets, which are fine art, property, stocks, you know, Bitcoin. So that's what you should definitely look into. But yeah, anyway, I love talking about investments for sure.
All right. So Bitcoin, that makes sense. I'll have to research that a little bit more on my own. I don't really know Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it takes about 100 hours to get a decent grasp of it.
Okay.
Takes about 1,000 hours to be like, yeah, I think I pretty much understand it at this point.
Yeah.
So, but
So in
people don't
terms of
put the
that,
work in.
at what point do you think you should invest into something? Like after how much research?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Yeah, I don't believe in just like YOLOing into stuff or
Because I've done
DJ.
that before. I did that
Yeah,
with like a couple NFTs, lost like
yeah,
$800 in NFTs, and then what I
yeah,
did, I actually got screwed by the whole FTX shit. I had
yeah.
like $500 in Bitcoin on FTX and got
A lot of people
fucked.
got screwed. A lot of people
That
got
pissed me off.
screwed. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really messed up. The crypto is kind of like the Wild West in that way. So you got to really know what you're doing.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I would say, yeah, you definitely need to know. You need to know what you're doing before you start investing. The way the market is set up is such that um, it's to kind of screw retail investors like us. The
Yeah.
institutions, they have a beat on what's going on before we do. And then they get everyone excited to put their money in there to pump them up, and then they pull it out and they pull the rug out from under you. So you have to know what you're doing. I think the biggest thing to know with investing is, well, you have to know your strategy, know your time horizon, right? You're going to invest a little different if you're going, I need to make money in 12 weeks versus I need to make money in 12 years. That's a
Right.
little bit of a different strategy, right? So, but yeah, you need to research, your stocks or your crypto to a point where you feel like you're a subject matter expert on it, you know? Like I'm
Okay.
very invested in Tesla, and I can talk to you about Tesla for an hour right now.
Okay.
If you were asking me
Yeah.
where are all their factories and how many cars are they producing and are they going to solve FSD and their energy and blah blah blah, I could talk to you about it. Is that because I'm super smart? Absolutely not. It's just because if you're going to put money in something, you should kind of know what it's going to do.
What the
Like,
hell? Yeah.
you
What the hell's going on? That's
so this
fair.
is what happens too. It's funny. I've seen this meme. It shows it's like two lemonade stands,
Hmm.
and on the lemonade sign it just says Bitcoin. And at the one, there's no line. There's no line. No one's going there, and it says Bitcoin for $15,000. And then there's a Bitcoin for $70,000, and there's a line that's like a mile long, right? And that's exactly how it works. When it's 15 grand, everyone's too scared to deploy their money into it, even though that's when you should be buying it. When
I've never understood
it's at
that.
its
I've never
low.
understood that.
Yeah, people
Like
get
I've
too
never
scared.
understood why people. Is it because it's going down that people don't want to buy it, or what?
Well, people, yeah, they don't. Well, that goes back to you need to know what you're doing, right? Because so for me, I'm buying as much Bitcoin as I possibly can when it's that low.
That's what I
Trying.
would think. I would be like it. I feel like it'd be on sale. Basically, it's like it's on sale.
That's exactly how you think of it. It's like, hey, this is a sale right now. But what happens is it's human nature. I mean, I was worried too, right? Everyone gets worried. No matter how much faith you have, you start to get worried of like, uh, is this going to go to zero, right?
Right. Yeah.
People
That's
start to
fair.
lose their fundamental faith in the asset. So you
Hmm.
have to have my trading strategy is very much high conviction, not a ton of assets, like maybe like 5 or 10 names, and that's it. I don't believe in
Hmm.
diversifying. That to me is diversifying. Um, and you got to get in early, and you have to get in really hard early, as early as you can. So
Yeah.
whenever it's at 15K, you should be buying a ton. When it's at 70K, like it has been, you're buying a little bit, but you're not killing yourself, because if it comes back down to 40K,
You just
then
lost.
you'd buy it,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's very interesting. I think, unfortunately, folks like us, retail people, just normal everyday people, don't have the time. Don't really think about investing because it's kind of boring for most people. I happen to enjoy it, but I understand it's boring. Um,
Yeah.
and it's scary. So people just go, well, I'll just throw it into the, the market and get 10%, which isn't a terrible idea. It's fine. But if you want to make a ton of money, you can do some research and figure it out. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, but you do have to have some dedication for sure.
Okay. So in your turn, sorry, I don't even know what I was trying to say. What do you think when you hear the word successful? Or who do you think of? What or who?
Yeah. I think, it's a good question for sure. I think of for me to be successful, I guess I'm very goal oriented. So I think of the different goals that I have, and they could be financial or, different things. But at the end of the day, if I achieve every goal that I have, and at the end of the day, I'm sitting in some, mansion with all of this and that, but my wife walks around like she has the weight of the world on her shoulders. My kids can't look me in the eye. They have no relationship with me. Then to me, I'll know that I failed. Right.
Yeah.
That's not success to me. I think success is, pouring into people. To me, I could grade success. I've worked in nursing homes. And, I've seen success. To me, success is when that old person's family comes in. Hopefully they're not in a nursing home, by the way, but their family honors them, right? They're in a place of honor. They've lived a life well. They've raised good people. They've loved people to the best of their abilities. They've poured into people. And when you do that, you have a community of people around you in your last years and into your passing years that will honor you, that love you. To me, that's success.
Well, I think like relationships, and I've definitely learned that because choosing a career, I was like, oh, what's going to make me the most money? And then I quickly found out that it's like, oh, shit, there's no way I'm going to do this for the rest of my life because I won't be here for the rest of my life if I do that. So, because I'm just that type of person. And then it slowly started to be, okay, I could have millions of dollars, millions and millions and millions of dollars. I could own the world. And if I'm sitting by myself in the biggest house in the world, what the fuck? Who cares?
Yeah,
So that's going to be terrible. So relationships are the basis of everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think for me as a Christian, I want to raise my kids to love the Lord and to have a good foundation of community around them, people that love them, and then they can lead a life like that too. So I'm of the belief that if you want to be happy, don't pursue happiness for its own sake, pursue meaning and purpose, responsibility. And then the happiness just comes,
Well, happiness is a choice.
Yeah. And that's true too. Happiness can definitely be a choice.
Because
but you could also get smacked in the face with a cancer diagnosis and, you might not be super happy in that moment.
But still, I think you could still, I can't really say anything because, obviously that didn't happen to me, but I still think you could be happy in those moments because realistically, like, there's two ways of looking at anything. Either you look at it in a way of positivity or you look at it in a way, just optimistic or pessimistic. Like, either you're a negative person or you're a positive person.
Well, I agree. And I'll go further than that. I think, he who has the proper why can endure any how, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've heard that. But that's absolutely true. You can't perform better than your why, So if your why is family, and for me, the Lord, which is even deeper than family because it's real across all time, then anything that comes, not that it's a moot point, but you have an eternal perspective. So you realize that, like, hey, man, there's a verse in the Bible that talks about how the flowers are beautiful, they grow, but then they wither and they die. and and the sun scorches them out, right? And that's true, but that's the human. It's a picture of the human life, right?
Yeah.
We're a seed, and then all of a sudden we sprout, and we're beautiful, and then we start to fade, and then we're scorched by the sun. It's the end of that, and that's okay, right? It's fine.
Well, that's what makes it beautiful, though.
It's
Because
fleeting.
if it was like that for eternity, then it wouldn't hold beauty as it would as if
You're
it
absolutely
was
right about that. I agree with
like
that.
like I think I'm almost accepting of death now because it's like without death you wouldn't enjoy the things that you can enjoy now.
That's true.
You see
because
most
everything
of
would
the
just
people.
get so meaningless. That's just like, okay, who cares? Like,
Yeah, it's so monotonous in a way. Like, okay, same shit every day, same shit next day. 200 years later, it's like same shit. You know what I mean? Like it's, and that's
absolutely.
why people say, like you said something about cancer. Like most of those people live more in the 2 months that they have left than they have in the 40 years that they lived to begin with.
Yeah, because they know that they have like an end.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Because
it's crazy.
people forget that. People forget that it's like, oh, I'm gonna die. And that's why I think and that's why I try to preach, but that's why I try to, what's the word I'm looking for? I try to persuade people to do the things that they want to do and not do things that's going to yield the most money and do the things that's like other people want them to do and blah, 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 blah. Like the whole, societal social conditioning that people go through. Do what you want to do because in 40, 50, 60 years from now, you're going to die. Everyone's going to die. You're going to be dead.
Right.
And you're going to be laying on that deathbed like, holy shit, dude, I did all the stuff that my mom wanted me to do. Oh, I did all the stuff my dad wanted. Like, okay.
No, it's funny. I agree with most of what you're saying. I think we actually do have a lot of agreement. There's one piece, though, that I would add to that, which is I think it's even better than doing what you want to do is doing the right thing, right?
Well, I think you intuitively want to do the right thing. Like,
yeah, I disagree with that. I think,
you think?
Man, I really wish people were like that. That's a very optimistic view of human nature.
Well, that's how I am because I feel like over the last 2 years I've come so in touch with like my actual soul. Like I feel it because now if I make a wrong decision, I'm like that it doesn't feel right. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then if I make a right decision, like
you mean
I
like
can
your
feel it
conscience
so much.
is more
No,
sensitive, you think?
no, like my soul, like I feel it. Like it's a weird feeling. Like I can't explain it unless you actually feel it. Like in terms, so like when I'm fighting or whatever, it just feels more right than anything I've ever done in my life. So when I'm not doing that or I'm doing something that I kind of abhor, it's like I know that that's the wrong thing for me to do. Or if like I'm mean to Kayla and I'm like, fuck, dude, I shouldn't have done that. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like I just feel what's right and wrong. And I think most people are like that. I just don't think people are in tune with their soul as much as they should be.
Yeah, but I would go like I always feel like go a little further. So people I think that works if everybody has the same framework of morality.
That's
but
fair.
People don't, right? Of course.
Yeah.
So you have all different kinds of frames of morality. This is why I am Christian, and I feel that is it's not just part of me; it's the most important part of me. It's realer than I am, So, what does that even mean? It means like, let's say you're born in the Middle East. Let's say you're born in a country that believes in honor killings and things like that, right? That might seem like a good thing to do.
Yeah, but I think
disagree. I don't think it is a good thing to do, but that's because it's just a different morality. So you might say that person might go like, "Hey, I'm super in tune with my soul, man. I just know that I'm supposed to do this."
I don't think that's the thing. I think that's part of a social conditioning that like once you get in tune with your soul, you move past that social conditioning. Like if you meditate consistently, like praying is a form of meditation. Meditating exercising, doing all these things, I think pushes, because I used to be socially conditioned. I used to be one of those people that are like, super closed-minded, thinking one way, and it's like, if you believe another way, you're a dumbass, and blah 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 blah, all the same.
Sure.
And so once I've I mean, at this point, I've been meditating for like damn near 6 years. So it's like, I think you can move past that. So I see what you're saying,
What do you
of
think the
course.
meditation has done to help? Like, what have you noticed as like, what do you do to meditate, and then what have you found has helped over time?
Helped what? What do you mean?
Well, what do you do when you meditate, first
Okay,
off? And
so
this is, I'm not grilling you. I'm actually asking.
no,
I'm
no, no.
curious. You said you've done it for 6
Okay,
years. So what,
so it's kind of changed over the course of, a couple years, or over the course of those 6 years. I started with the Headspace app, which is a wonderful app, but it's like $200 for a year, and I ain't paying that. But
Oh, really? I don't know why I was thinking that was free, but
it
that's
actually might be. I might be tripping.
maybe
I
they have
think
like
it's
a
actually
free version too
60.
or
It's
something,
like
but
$60. They do,
okay.
but there's a. I mean, you can find them on YouTube. Like, you can find random ones on YouTube.
Yeah.
Basically, I just sit down, and I've noticed that journaling before I meditate helps massively, because journaling allows you to get your thoughts out and all that stuff and anything that's on your mind. So I'll just run you through my morning routine. If anybody hasn't seen my morning routine video, go to YouTube. But I'll basically get up, hydrate, and then I'll journal. And then right after I journal, I meditate for like 7 to 10 minutes. Basically, I sit there and I just try to follow my breath,
Right.
and noticing things, because the biggest thing in meditation is people think that, like, you are just you, and that's not it. Like, you're not your mind. People think that what the thoughts that you think are you, and it's not the case. So you need to go below that, or
What do you
deeper
think
than
they
that.
are? What do you think the thoughts are?
I think your mind is just a tool. Like, your mind is a tool to be used, and not like your mind. Most people, oh my god, most people's minds use them. If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
they're a prisoner to their own thoughts. Like, they think one thing, and then their mind just starts racing, and they can't calm down. They can't, just, okay, breathe. They can't do that. So, like, being able to sit down and just follow your breath for extended periods of time, like, in fighting, helps, to be honest, because
Yeah.
you're walking to that cage, and like, you could be thinking, holy shit, I'm about to get in a fight. Oh my god, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get punched. Like, you start thinking that, you're toast. It's over with.
No, and that's interesting. I don't want to get you sidetracked, so don't forget your train of thought. But I wanted to mention, I agree. Like, when you go into a cage, I've not done that, but I've done jujitsu, obviously. And your time horizon goes
Yep.
from like, I'm thinking of this and this and this, to I'm just thinking about how this guy wants to rip my face
Yep.
off.
Yep.
Like, I'm just in this moment right now. And that's why
And
I like
so,
jujitsu, because it brings you, it's like
yes.
forced meditation, because you're just,
Well, and that's exactly, and like, fighting is so primal that it basically, and that's what and I've always said that I'm like a big proponent of everything that we have around us, our computers, our phones, our, the houses we live in, the food we eat, all of that shit is bad for you. Because we're animals. Like, people forget that we're animals. Really, like, the only thing
yeah,
that makes us
yeah,
different, the only thing that makes us different is our consciousness and our ability to use our hands, really, right? So, like, everything that we have today goes against our physiology and our biology and the things that we actually should be doing. We don't see sunlight because we sit in the house for fucking 12 hours a day.
right.
Realistically, the sunlight that you see in the morning allows you to sleep at night. Like, all these things are connected in a certain way that needs to be, explored and used, but out of comfortability, we've ruined our physiology, basically. Oh, it's comfortable to sit in a house with, when it's 67 degrees inside the house. It's comfortable to, stare at your phone all day because it's constant release of dopamine. So, like, getting rid of all of that and kind of going back to that, I got sidetracked a little bit, but
That's all right.
the the most primal thing of like, I think, is fighting.
Yeah.
Because you got to think, like, back in the, thousands of years ago, that's what we were doing, literally. And so meditation, I think, opens your soul and like, it allows you to connect with your soul, because you are your soul. You're not your mind. You're your soul. That's what you are.
Yeah.
And so, like,
you're definitely not just your body.
right, exactly.
Because
And
if you
so,
lose your hand, you're still you.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get into that. I'll if you want to know more about that, I'll talk to you about that off camera. But I'm not going to out myself yet. But anyway,
you're about to come out of the closet or something.
Yeah, literally. No, I'll just say the good old herbs, herbs and spices will definitely allow you to tune into your soul. They allow you to tune into your soul more, because once you do that and you meditate, I've never felt something like that before in my life, and it was it was the most calm I have ever felt, ever.
Yeah,
and I could feel my soul almost. It was like, holy hell, this is weird.
I agree with. I don't think meditation is bad at all. I do think it's good.
I think there's different forms of meditation.
Yeah.
Like I said, praying is a form of meditation.
I think praying is not just a form of meditation, though. Of course, I think you're connecting with the divine. I think it's not just like I'm picking up my phone and I'm just talking.
Yeah. Right.
I think
exactly.
There's someone on the other end of the phone, and I think there's that communication is really good. So I would encourage. This is something sidetrack, but we'll get back on topic and then move forward. But go ahead and check out Bo Burnham's comedy special. It's called Inside, and
Bo Burnham.
To me, it's actually a very profound piece of art. Not because I agree with it. I don't agree with pretty much any of it. What I think is interesting is I think it's the perfect illustration of getting inside of the mind of a contemporary, liberal, atheist, very intelligent person who's kind of depressed. And he has a segment on there where he's basically singing a song, and then he cuts out and he's now reviewing his song that he's singing. And then it cuts out again, and now he's reviewing his review of the song that he's singing. And then it cuts out, he's reviewing the review he did of the song that he's singing. And it's actually, I think of that as a very a deep video clip where, you can, especially as
I'm sure it was
someone without.
Sorry,
I
was going to say, I'm sure it was meant to be that.
Oh yeah. So what it is that if if you keep searching for the answer within yourself, that's not where the answer is at. The answer is not there. You got to get out of yourself. You can do that so many layers deep and keep trying to find that answer. It's not there.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think
it's good to be connected with your body though, too. Cause like we are always plugged into the matrix. You have to unplug from the matrix. So I so agree with that 100%. But then I think you got to get out of yourself too. Sometimes, like you said, just go walk in the grass. Just go be outside. Listen to the birds. You don't have a mental condition. You don't have this and that. You don't got to overthink it. Just get out of your head a little bit. Some people do have mental condition, but I'm saying so many people think that they, you have this issue. I got to solve it. I got to think of it. You're thinking too much about yourself. Get out of yourself, right? Go serve the community. Go do something else. You'll feel better. You'll feel good. Promise, but yeah, anyway.
Well, I think that goes into ego death. I think ego is most people's guiding force, and it shouldn't be. It should be the self. It should be the self. Like, the ego and self. The ego is the tiny circle inside of the self. Yeah, the self is the guiding force that you want to listen to, and that is your soul, quote unquote. The ego is what controls that, because it's so like me, what's good for me, like shit like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, like, And I've talked to my mom about this before. I know Nathan's a little harder to talk to it about because he's, you know, I don't know if he's closed-minded to the aspect of, he doesn't think. I guess I have talked about it, so I shouldn't even say that. But and my mom has been too. But I told them, I'm like, look, like I believe psychedelics are a tool to be used to get rid of your ego, to see yourself from an exterior point of view. Because these types of psychedelics have been used for thousands of years in religious ceremonies and things to, talk to the higher power or whatever you want to call it, God, their God. I guess I can't like shamans and people like that. I think those can be used as very important tools because some people just can't do that by themselves. Some people can't just be like, okay, it just doesn't help. And I mean, there's something to be said about the fact that, like, you go do an ayahuasca ceremony in, Central America because, big pharma loves to, make things illegal that actually help people. You have like heroin addicts who've been heroin addicts for decades go do these ayahuasca ceremonies and they're cured immediately.
Yeah.
Like you can't like disregard that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think
that's very interesting. There's definitely something there, but
what they talk about is that, I mean, I won't talk too much about it, but they say that it's like you're strapped to a chair is what it feels like. They feel like they're strapped to a chair and on the back of their eyelids they're like sitting in a movie theater in their head. And like on the back of their eyelids, they're playing a movie of their whole life.
Yeah.
And how they're such a shitty person, how they'll kill people, how they'll steal from people, how they'll do all that just to get the drugs, and immediately they're just cured. It severs that dopaminergic pathway, that that circle, that dopamine circle in their brain. It severs that. It's insane. It's like I think those things could, and they can be abused too, like anything.
So do you
But
think
I think
you think that could be explained materially, which is you're just taking these as just chemical reactions in your brain, or do you think that that's spiritual?
I think it's spiritual, 100%. I think it'd be a little bit of both, but I think it's mostly spiritual.
Yeah.
There has been multiple reports of the DMT. DMT is the most natural substance in the world or in the universe. It's present in every single natural thing you can possibly imagine. It's present in trees, present in grass, present in humans. DMT is released in large amounts when you die.
Right.
So in my opinion, I think DMT is like the pathway to the divine, I guess, if you want to call it that.
So that's interesting. I wanted to say this too. So, I think, I believe, I know that of course, we aren't, we're dimorphic beings. We're not just body.
You're gonna have to explain that
soul,
one.
of course, right? What did you say?
I said you're gonna have to explain that one.
Yeah, it just means like we're not just purely body. We're not just purely soul. If you're purely body, then you're like a dog, and if you're purely soul, then you're just an angel. We're dimorphic. We're the only beings that exist like that. There's no beings like that. We have a very unique burden in that we are mortal, and we know we're mortal. There's no evidence that a dog knows he's going to die, right? When my dog's just cuddling there sleeping, he has ignorant bliss. He's just living his life right now. He's not thinking about that. But I know that he's going to die, and I know that I'm going to die too. That's a unique burden that we have. And I think it's hard for people to cope with certain tragedies and things that happen in this world in general. And so I think it's easy to be drawn to those things, like you said, to strip the ego, etc., and to be on some spiritual pathway. But I think that that's really part of the work that Jesus did on the cross, which is that he's given us the ability to have a legitimate relationship with the divine without having to take any substances at all. I can have a deeply, profoundly impactful spiritual moment with the Lord, and I have totally stone cold sober. Where you've got goosebumps. I mean, you're like you feel like floating or something. You're not, but you feel, and you're just all you've had is some coffee, and you've just been praying, and you just have been,
technically that's a drug, but
yeah, that's true.
Jugs.
So, in moderation. No, just
kidding.
but yeah. Anyway, no, it's cool. Yeah.
All right, let's move. We got pretty deep there for a minute.
Yeah, my wife's next to me too, so we got 10 more minutes. We got
10 minutes.
Do a hard stop. Yeah, 12:30.
All right. So, do you have any morning routines? What does your morning routine look like?
Man, if I have my perfect morning routine, and I have done it before, it's really hard right now, but get up.
I'd imagine.
I do Gary Brecka's Ultimate Human Protocol morning routine. So I'll go, I'll start my coffee, I'll go outside, I'll stand on the grass, I'll do my breathing routine to wake my brain up. Everything I do is very much focused towards I've got to get this working at 100% from 9 to 6 p.m. Right? Yep. I need to be fully on the whole time. I can't have an afternoon slump or anything like that because there's just too much riding on it throughout the day. So I'll do that. And then I'll do a cold plunge, which I've done this morning routine. I just started a few months ago, and I've probably only done it 25% of the days or less.
Yep.
And so it's something I'm working toward more.
Dude, it's hard.
Really hard in the summer, but
it's hard with a kid.
It's hard with a kid. It's harder in the summer because I don't have one of those expensive ice plunges. I just have one outside, and the water on the hose is too hot, so you have to have a ton of ice. It's labor intensive to do it. But when you do it, you feel great. And then drink your coffee like an hour after you wake up, and then have a decent breakfast. Yeah, you feel.
That's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask you, do you wait? I usually try to wait 90 minutes after I wake up before I have coffee.
Yeah, I think that's actually what's recommended, but I do
90. I think it's 90 to 120 minutes. Yeah, 60 is probably fine. Do you get 30 grams of protein in before you?
No, probably not. I mean, I do have egg. I have egg.
You should drink. Sorry, go ahead.
Drink a protein shake or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably smart. The other thing I do in the morning is and again, I'm a broken person that's not perfect, so I don't do any of this stuff every day or anything. But I'll get into the Word. If I get into the Word and read, not read it like a comic book, not read it like, oh, I just need to check this off. No. Just I'm praying to the Lord like, God, just please speak to me today. And I might just read one sentence and be like, oh, I feel like that was profound. That spoke to me. That's it. I'm done. I'm going to meditate just on that. Some days I'll read a whole chapter, you know what I mean? So those are usually what I try to do in the morning. And then, I spend time with my daughter. I get her up, I get her ready for the day. I make her breakfast, I feed her. And then I get ready and I roll, Yeah,
that's pretty badass. You should look into getting a deep freezer.
I have one, but it's about to be full with a cow. I got a cow, so I got 100 pounds of meat coming.
That's
so I
gonna
had to
be
keep
sick.
it open. Yeah, dude.
I think next weekend I'm planning to go grab a 10 cubic foot deep freezer so I can turn that into a cold plunge.
Oh yeah, careful about the electrocution aspect.
Yep, you got to unplug it. Unplug it before you get in that.
Honestly, you should get the deep freezer, and then you should just get a horse trough, and then just throw a ton of ice in the deep freezer, and then just fill up the horse trough and throw it in there. Then you're never going to get electrocuted. As your brother.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I probably won't do that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, last question I'll ask, and then we'll get you off here. So, in your opinion, what are the 3 books that you would give to an 18-year-old kid?
3 books. Obviously, the Bible. You should read it. It's the foundational literature of the entire Western, Western thought doesn't happen without the Bible. So it's the most important work that's ever been created, bar none. It has more books based off of it or that cite it or that are related to it than any other set of books, bar none, not close. It's more rooted in reality. People, if I talk to you about Caesar, you might go like, yeah, I know Julius Caesar and how there's only like a few documents that document what he did. There's so many more references and documents that stand up the validity of the Bible. The Bible is more valid than any book ever written of any history. Right. So yeah, the Bible, absolutely.
Okay.
Don't start in the Old Testament, read through it, because you'll probably get bored to tears and be like, why are so many people getting their heads chopped off and stuff? Maybe start in the New Testament. The Old Testament's awesome, but you have to be pretty serious if you're going to read it. I would start with the Book of James. The Book of James is fantastic. The Book of Romans is fantastic. The Book of James is fantastic. But then other than that, Crime and Punishment is really good by Dostoevsky. It's very good. It's kind of hard to read because he uses like 5 names for every character. So you're just like, what? No. Who? And then you're like, okay.
Is that nonfiction or fiction?
It's fiction.
Okay.
It's fiction. The reason why it's so profound is because it really studies kind of like Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, the Superman, the guy that can overcome morality just because he's so intelligent. He can just do whatever and, everything's going to be fine. And it's a very good book because it's a book that'll teach you that, morality is not just relative. There are some things that are just bad. And even if you try to tell yourself they're not, right? If every single person in the entire world agreed that it's okay for me to chop your head off, it would still be wrong. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Even if everyone agreed it's right, it's not right. We know that. Right? So that's a very interesting book.
What's it called? Crime and Punishment?
Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. An easier Dostoevsky book is probably The Underground Man. That's like 100 pages. I thought that was really good. It kind of debunks communism, in my opinion. It just kind of shares that, like, hey, human nature doesn't work that way. It's really interesting. It was written in Russia in the 1800s, so makes sense why he was talking about that. But the most enjoyable books for me, so a couple books that are just really fun to read. The Count of Monte Cristo might be the most enjoyable book that you could read of any book. Like it's freaking action packed from start to finish. It's just really fun.
All right, just give me one that's like good advice to someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Crime and Punishment, I feel like that'd be a great one. The Bible. And give me one more.
Good advice. So like non-fiction.
Something. Well, I think you can have fiction books that give you good advice too.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like fiction though, but
I mean, I like political books. There's a book called Conservatism by Yoram Hazony that I like a lot. I feel like there's decent advice in there. There's a book called Good to Great that I think everyone knows from a business perspective. That's a really good book from a business standpoint. It kind of talks a lot about servant leadership, which is really important. Those are good. Those are good books. I like fiction a lot more because I think you could take more out of it. They're timeless, but I would say those probably.
All right, I'll give you 3 of mine real quick, and then we'll bounce. I would say first and foremost is like Mastery by Robert Greene. It dives into, I guess the correct word would be delves. It delves into, right? Is that proper grammar?
I think so.
Anyway, I'll just say it dives. It dives into essentially following what you're truly called to do. I think as a child, you know what you want to do. Whether you want to say God or your intuition or your spirit, your soul, whatever it is, you know what you want to do as a child. We have that, idea that children are innocent and perfect, and they are. And as a child, you're not conditioned to anything. As you see a child and they can look at, something, they can look at like a fence and they can create a game with that fence.
Yeah, they have
They're so
imagination.
creative. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they're intuitively called to what they truly want to do as children. Like if you look at Albert Einstein
Right.
Einstein was called to do what he did. And it talks about, everyone thinks geniuses are, geniuses because they have a higher level of intelligence, which is incorrect. The reason that they're geniuses is because they're extremely passionate and they're doing what they're called to do. And they're just, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, if you dive into what you're going to do, you're going to be more successful at it. So, and you can master it a little easier. And that's
right.
probably why
And
you
I
titled
think,
it Mastery.
yeah, yeah. So that one I think for sure would be given to any 18-year-old kid. I think that would be perfect. The next one, shit. Probably the Almanac of Naval. That's a great book in terms of like thought processes, business, talking to people. Like I think that's a good book to kind of open your mind to that,
Yeah.
realm. Let me think of the other one. I read some good ass books.
Well, while you're thinking, I can share two more or a
All
few
right.
more. One is 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson.
I've wanted to read that so bad.
12 More Rules for Life to me is actually even better. His second one. I really enjoyed
That's the
that one.
second one.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed that one even more. Probably just because the rules on there were more interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the book of Proverbs in the Bible is extremely readable. And you'll just be like
Mm-hmm.
nugget after nugget after nugget of like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like probably like the Almanac of Naval, but I would say
Mhm.
probably the better version because it's Solomon, which is one of the wisest people to have ever lived that's
Yeah.
writing. But
Mm-hmm.
Almanac of Naval, that's probably great for contemporary stuff, right? But yeah, that's interesting.
He talks about a lot of the stuff that we were talking about earlier, like in terms of the tweets. Like,
Yeah.
I think one of his big points is determine what you think that you're worth for an hour. $500, $20, $1,000, whatever it is. And if whatever you're about to do is going to yield less than that, then don't do it. Either delegate it or don't think about it.
Interesting.
Like, you know what I mean? Because whatever you're about to do, if it's not worth the time or the money that you think that your time is worth, then it is just literally a waste of time.
Yeah, I can say with different business endeavors and stuff. It's kind of hard to live your day to day like that. Like, I'm not mowing today.
Yeah, literally.
Well,
Which that makes sense.
I get what you're saying,
like,
though. Yeah, it makes sense.
Another one? Probably the other one would be either The Obstacle is the Way
Yeah,
or Discipline
stoicism.
is Destiny by
Yeah.
Ryan Holiday. That dude's he's a genius. Stoicism like actually changed my life. They got me a book. Mom and Nathan got me a book called The Daily Stoic. Actually, Tim Welch and Sean O'Malley put me onto that book, but they got it for me for Christmas, and it like changed my life. I was like reading it was just, like it, daily meditations. You read one page a day, and it was one of those things. It was
You'll
like
find actually that stoicism, I think, has a really a decent amount of overlap with Christianity, like a really decent amount.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's interesting. Like if you read Proverbs, you'll probably be like it's pretty
it's
similar. I
similar.
mean, it's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, either one of those, Obstacle is the Way or Discipline is Destiny. I guess he has another one called Ego is the Enemy that I really want to read too. And yeah, so those are some good ass
Nice.
books if any of you are listening, an hour and 20 minutes in
Yeah, for
or in
sure. We don't
25.
talk a lot. I can talk.
Yeah, we did.
I could be long-winded.
Yes.
So
It's all good. Well, I appreciate you for coming, man. I love you.
Absolutely, brother. I love you too. Thanks for having me on here, man.
Yep, no problem.
Do it again sometime.
Thanks everyone who's yes, for sure. Thanks everybody for watching. I got to get some training in about an hour and a half. So
Awesome, brother.
yeah, fight coming up July 13th. Title fight, 5-rounder. I beat this dude's ass.
Let's go, dude. I'm pumped. That's awesome. Let's go.
He's gonna die. He's gonna get drugged to deep waters and knocked out cold. So, hey, I can't say that on here. I can't say that on here yet. So
yeah, just like
all right,
go too far.
All right.
Awesome, brother.
Episode 34. Peace and love.
Bye.